The next one is OpenAI. Hopefully, you all know OpenAI. I mean, if you don't know OpenAI, I think you should leave this room. But let me talk about Katia instead of OpenAI. So, Katia is a bit the reason why this even happened in the first place. We met in Paris. I was organizing an event for EXA, so she joined as a speaker for OpenAI. And the talk was amazing. I mean, we had, I think, 300 people. Everyone was asking questions. Obviously, having OpenAI on stage is always a big event. And then at the end of the event, we went for a drink. And I was like, we should do something in Belgium, you know. I know a few places like Le Watt, Le Mix. You should come, we'll do something small. Nice meetup, a few entrepreneurs, and at least you get to meet, you get to meet the scene. And she was like, no, you know, we are not supposed to do that many events with OpenAI. So I was like, okay, let's have a spritz first. So we had a few drinks. And then I asked the question again. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to come to Belgium. But then I kind of forget, and I didn't update Katia on what this event became. So when she arrived earlier today, she told me, like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, you told me a small event, you have shirts, you have caps, it's a huge hotel. So she was quite impressed, and I was like, yeah, it just happened. So please welcome Katia on stage with me today.
Hi, everyone. So let me share my laptop. Really happy to be here. Indeed, I was not expecting that many people in the room when I agreed to like a small meetup in Brussels, but I'm glad to see that all of you are here. So my name is Katia, as Tanguy said, Katia Gil Guzman. I'm based in London, but I spend a lot of time in Paris because I'm French, if you can't tell by the accent. And I work on the developer experience team at OpenAI. So our team kind of sits between product and the field, and we do a lot of things. But my role is to work with developers globally to help them benefit from our technology. And that's very broad. But today I wanted to talk about these things, starting with how we moved from conversations to goals. So a little bit before, like a while ago, and when I say that, I mean literally just a few months ago, when you were using coding agents, you were actually telling them exactly what to do. You were like, oh, I have this issue, you should look there and fix it. Now we're increasingly moving to a world where we just say what we want. We just specify our goals and we get a result. And this is made possible by the advancement in intelligence in LLMs and models. So GPT 5.5 is our best model to date, and it's also a very high agency model. What I mean by that is that GPT 5.5 will do whatever it takes to get to a goal. And sometimes it will do unexpected things, like you wouldn't think it would do that, but it does. And this is shown in also those benchmarks that are more about long horizon tasks, but generally when you work on a goal, it can take a while. And so on the left, you have one of our internal benchmarks that evaluates how GPT 5.5 performs versus 5.4 on coding tasks that would take humans about 20 hours to do. And on the right, you have another pretty recent benchmark that's called DeepSuite, who also shows like how models perform on long horizon tasks. And you can see that GPT 5.5 is doing pretty well. And when you combine that model, that powerful model with Codex, that's when the magic happens. And we can see that since 5.5 came out, there's been a big increase in adoption for Codex. You can see the curve grow like this. It came out in April. So since the beginning of the year, we actually at plus 400% of adoption. And we've also heard from our customers, you have their logos here, that they've seen a real shift with GPT 5.5. And that's what's making this possible, where we can really move from conversation to just saying what we want. And this is made possible by giving Codex the right context. And you can do that with many things, but there are a few features that came out, and they actually came out in Europe very recently for some of them, like memories and chronicle that were launched in Europe last week, so it's very recent. Maybe you've used it via VPN a little bit before, but now you can actually do it legally. And so memory is actually a way for Codex to just remember your preferences, remember what you're working on, so you don't have to repeat yourself every time. And Chronicle is a way to build context by looking at what you're looking at on your computer. So if you were looking at specific windows, Codex can know about that, and you don't have to explain everything, it will just get it. It's like it reads your mind. On top of that, you have plugins. So plugins, for those who don't know, they're packages of apps, app connections, MCP servers, skills, and all of that will extend Codex, give it access to more things. And so if you give Codex access to your Slack, to your Notion, to your Gmail, it can have even more context on what you're doing, again, without you having to repeat yourself. That's when you work on your own, but if you work in a repo with many people, you can also give more context by encoding that judgment in the repo. So agents.md, you might have heard of this. It's kind of like the operating manual for the repo, but the way we work at OpenAI, we also have a bunch of skills that live in the repo so that every time you do something and you don't have context on a task, Codex will just take care of it for you because there's a skill for that. We also have something called exec plans. It's literally just MD files where Codex will document what it does. So when we implement a new feature, it can actually set the right context for the next coding agents that will change that feature afterwards. And another cool thing we do is we have tests, screenshots for every PR. So when you implement a new feature, Codex will take videos, take screenshots, and all the breakpoints, and that will make it easier for you to review everything. So with all of that, we've been able, as I said, to move from goal to having a result. So, if you give Codex a plugin to access sentry logs, you can just say, check the sentry logs and fix the issues. You don't have to be to have a super complicated prompt, prompt engineering isn't really a thing anymore. You can just say, implement something to fix the thing my colleague mentioned on Slack, and then Codex will understand, oh, I have access to Slack, I can just see what the issue is and come up with the answer. Same thing if you have, everything that lives in Notion, you can have Codex just look through that, and you don't have to repeat yourself, you don't have to say anything. And so that workflow is actually pretty cool, just being able to say what you want. But what was missing is that Codex was sometimes a little bit lazy, and it would stop after just doing one thing. And so that's why we introduced this /code command, which allows you to specify one objective for Codex to follow until it reaches the stopping criteria, the success criteria that you specify. Just to give you an example, I was working on this docs agent a few weeks ago. We announced it last week. And so it's an agent for a developer's website. And I had a set of evals of 150 golden prompts that I wrote, some solutions architect wrote, Codex wrote, and then GPT 5.5 just evaluates if the answer is right or wrong. And what I did is I just took that. I had already a basis for how the docs agent worked, but I just said, improve the accuracy on this test, this golden set. And then Codex worked for 10 hours and 24 minutes exactly, and it updated the prompts, updated the ranking system to find the right context. It updated all the logic just to, it did things that I would have never thought about, just because I said, this is your goal, do whatever it takes. And actually, fun fact, I asked Codex to create those slides, and I mentioned that I would talk about this example, and I just said, I want a simple illustration with the /goal command. And Codex actually like searched through my threads on my Codex threads, found the actual example I was talking about, and generated this illustration with the actual prompt summary and the actual time it took. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was like a field AGI moment for me. But other things you can do with goals is complex code migrations, prototype creation, performance optimization. As long as you have like a clear objective and you can say, okay, this is success, this is when you stop, you can use goals. So just to show you a quick demo, I will switch to this. So this is like a website that I asked Codex to create to talk about Brussels. Actually, pretty neat, I think. I was like, thank you, Codex. And so there's a few ways you can like improve this. First of all, you can do things like use computer use to test like a flow. So for example, I can say test it again here and have Codex just go through my website. So this might take a few minutes, so I will let it work, and just test a flow and then iterate until the flow looks right. So, okay, it's actually pretty slow. I will show you a video instead of what that looks like. But Codex can just like click through the things, test your website, and if it finds an issue, it can just fix it and continue testing. Another thing that is interesting to do is, for example, here, this is the website that is published. If I hard refresh it, it is very slow. Like, actually, it's even slower now because apparently the Wi-Fi is bad. But yeah, okay, it's you see, like the images are not loading. It's pretty like it's a very slow website. And if you look at the page with insights, it's pretty bad. And so what I did is I actually asked Codex to analyze using our new browser plugin that can use like Chrome tools to establish a profile, a performance baseline profile for the app. And so it can use that to just like go analyze your app, test it in the browser, look at the logs, look at everything, and see what the issues are. And so it actually implemented, I'm just going to redeploy that so that it deploys while I speak. But then I ran a goal with this on here. And this goal ran for 47 minutes. And after 47 minutes, it found that, I didn't say anything. I just said, make it, I mean, I did say a few things. Actually, I didn't write this. I didn't write this prompt myself. I asked Codex to write it, obviously. But it actually like made the performance much better. So if I mean, it's taking a while to deploy, but if I refresh now, it's still loading. Again, I am sure this is the Wi-Fi, but it's actually much faster. And if I, okay, it's actually ready, so let's rerun that. So all we did was give Codex a goal and ask it improve performance without specifying exactly what we wanted. And what we get is a much faster website. It actually used also computer use, browser use to test the website to make sure that it was exactly the same after it made the changes. And now we get a much better performance. Actually, when I ran this, it was 95. It changes over time. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. And so you have like a sort of virtuous loop when you give Codex the right tools, because it can not only build, it can inspect what it did and then keep on improving over time. And you can extend that and actually design your repo so that you have a full review loop happening, and you just have some gates for humans to look at to just approve things. For example, you can have a gate to approve publishing a new version, but then you can have Codex observe using the right tools, the right plugin to connect to your environment, discover new things to implement, triage them, and then you can just accept the plan and have Codex implemented. So this is the new building loop that I'm talking about. And it's actually building upon this idea that we talked about in a website, in a blog post a while ago called Harness Engineering, where the high-level idea is that you just give Codex a full observability stack so that it can access your logs, see if there are bugs that need fixing, and just keep on opening PRs and fixing it on its own. And Peter Steinberger actually talked about this also a couple weeks ago. And he said, you shouldn't be prompting coding agents anymore. You should actually be designing loops that prompt your agent. And that's exactly it. Like, you don't need to prompt Codex. Like, that's so 2025, 2024. But you can just give it the tools, give it your memories. It will just understand. And this is a bit meta, but you can also prompt Codex to prompt itself. So you can ask Codex to create its own goals, ask Codex to spawn new Codex threads, and of course use plugins so that it can have the right tools. And T3.gg actually talked about this workflow a few weeks ago, where he said that he actually asked Codex to look at all open PRs, create Git work trees to test the changes, like to implement fixes, test the changes, and then another conversation to review the changes. And this is like what its Codex app looked like. And this is just Codex spawning new threads on its own. And to close the loop, I just wanted to talk about something that makes it go even further. Because when you build, you also want to deploy. And there's something that we published recently that's called Sites. So right now it's still in preview. It's still available only to enterprises. But the idea is that you can deploy anything from Codex, and it has built-in storage, built-in SSO for your org. And the idea is that we want to expand it further. So we want to make it possible to publish sites publicly to anyone. And if you think about it, this also changes how we think about data access within websites. Because right now you're connecting your API keys, you're fetching data live. But when you think about Codex that can run automations on a schedule, and that can deploy sites, you could also, just have an automations that checks data, that fetches data on a set schedule using plugins, then updates the sites, then republishes it, and it can do that on a loop as well. So that's like also a new way to think about how you're building a website. You don't need to make it, you can just rebuild it every day and have Codex do it. And also, we're talking about software a lot here, but this is just, because developers are often the first ones to adopt something. But Codex allows you to do much more. So we have like all of these things that are meant not for just developers, but for everyone that wants to build or that has like knowledge workflows. And so if we recap, we are not just engineers anymore, we're becoming loop designers. So your role now is to give Codex the right context, the right tools, move from conversations where you just tell Codex what to do to specifying your intent, specifying your goals. You don't need to tell Codex what to do, it will figure it out, and maybe the route that it will take will be widely different from what you had in mind, and that's the beauty of it. And then you can just let Codex iterate and review when needed. And bonus, you can also go touch grass, meaning you can go outside while Codex does this, because now we have Codex on mobile. So in the ChatGPT app, you can connect to your laptop, to your dev box remotely, and you can monitor the tasks, you can create new tasks, and all of that runs on your environment. So that means you can control your laptop, you can control your local files, you can do everything you would do on your laptop, but from your phone, and you can just, in the meantime, go enjoy life. Thank you.
Thank you, Katia.